Also, he hosts quiz, two other quiz programs as well as the dancing competition. I've read that. I open lock the join button, please. Matt had left. She didn't quite know why it was as if she had actually liked him. On the contrary, she had always known there was something weird about the boy. He dreamt that his mother and father were going to die the night before the accident actually happened. She had only taken him in because Brian had persuaded her, and of course he'd only wanted to get his hands on the money that Matt's parents had left their son. The trouble was the money had gone all too quick, and then Matt had gone to taken away by the police as a dueling del- delinquent, and all she'd been left with was the blame. It wasn't her fault. She looked after him. She never forgot the way police looked at her, as if she was the one who'd committed the crime. She wished now that Matt had never come into her life. Everything had gone wrong because of Matt. And now on TV, it's time once again to take your chance and spin the big wheel. Gowinder settled back as the big wheel theme tune begins. £50 notes twisted and spun across the screen. The audience applied, and there was Rex McKinnon walking down the flashing staircase, with a pretty girl holding onto each arm. He was dressed in a bright sequin jacket, waving and smiling happy as always to be back. "Good evening, everyone," he called out. "Who knows who's going to win big time tonight?" He paused and winkled straight at the camera. Only the wheel-nosed audience went wild as if they were hearing the words. For the first time, but of course Rex always begins the show the, the same way, only the wheel knows was his catchphrase, although Gowinder wasn't quite sure if it was true. The wheel was just a big piece of wood and plastic. How could it know anything? Rex came to a halt, and the applause died down. Gowinder was staring at the screen in a kind of trance. She had already forgotten her baked beans somewhere in the back of her mind. She wondered how it was that the television still worked when the electrical in the house had been turned off 2 weeks ago because she hadn't paid the bill, but the back of her mind was a very long way away, and it didn't really matter. It was a blessing. How would she get through the night without Big Wheel? Welcome to another show where the spin of a wheel could mean £1 million in your pocket, or a return ticket home with absolutely nothing. Rex began, and what a busy week I've had. My wife woke up at 6 o'clock yesterday morning to remind me to put the alarm on. The alarm went off at 7, and it still wasn't what hasn't come back. The audience roared with laughter. Gavin laughed too, but we've got a great show for you tonight, and in a minute we're going to meet the three lucky contestants who are competing for tonight's big prize. But remember, if you want to get your hands on £1,000,000, what do you have to do? You have to spin with the audience yelled. Brian said nothing. It was beginning to annoy Gowin the way he just sat there. But before we can't get started, Rex went on. I went to have a quick word with a very special lady and a real favourite of mine. He stepped closer to the camera, and as his face filled the screen, it seemed Gowin that he was looking directly at her. "Hello, Gowin," he said. "Hello, Rex." Gowin whispered. It was difficult for her to believe that he was actually talking to her. It always was. And how are you tonight, my love? "Oh, I'm all right." She bit her lip and folded her arms in her lap. "Well, listen, my darling, I wonder if you're giving any more thought to what we talked about, Matt Freeman, that gutter snipe, that little creep. Have you decided what you're going to do about him?" Rex Buchanan had started talking to Gowin 2 months ago. At the beginning, it had puzzled Gowin. How could he interrupt the show? Watched by 10 million people just to speak to her. Somehow he even managed to do it in the repeats, and that could be possible because some of them had been recorded years ago. At first it had worried her when she'd told Brian about it. He'd laughed in her face, and when she told Brian, she laughed in her face said she was going mad. Well, Rex had soon put her straight about Brian, and now she didn't worry about it anymore. It was bizarre, but it was happening, and the truth was she was flattered. She adored Rex, and it seemed he was equally fond of her. Matt Freeman made a fool of her. Rex want on he come into your house and he ruined your relationship with Brian, and then the boy got into trouble, and everybody said it was your fault. And now look at you, no money, no job. You're a mess, Gowin. It's not my fault, Gowin muttered. I know it's not your fault, oh love. Rex replied for a moment that the camera cut away and Gowin could see the studio audience getting restless, waiting for the show to begin. You looked after that boy. You treated him like a son, but he pushed off without so much as a "Bay your leave." No gratitude, of course. Kids those days is cook of the walk now, and you should hear the things he says about you. I've been thinking about it, and I have to say, I believe the boy ought to be punished. Punished, Gowina muttered the words with a sense of dread, just like you punished Brian for being so rude to you. Rex shook his head. Maybe it was a trick of the studio lighting, but it seemed almost to be reaching out of the television set. As if he was about to climb into the room. The fact of the matter is that Matt is a very nasty piece of work, he said. Everywhere he goes, he causes trouble. You remember what happened to his parents? They died. It was his fault. He could have saved them. And there are other things. There are other things you didn't know about it. He upset some very good friends of mine recently. In fact, he more than upsets them. He killed them. Can you believe that he killed all of them? If you ask me, there's no question about it. He needs to be punished. Very several indeed. I didn't know where his governor said. I can't tell you that he goes to school called Forest Hill. It's in York, so just outside York. That's not so far away. What do you want me to do? Gowin asked. Her mouth was dry. The tin of beans that had tilted forward in her hands and cold tomato sauce was dripping into her little lap. You like me, don't you, Governor? The television presenter gave her one of his special smiles. There was little wrinkles in the corner of her eyes. You want to help me. You know what was to be done. Gowan nodded. For some reason, she had begun to cry. She wondered if this would be the last time Rex McCannon would talk to her. She would go to York, and she wouldn't come back. You go there on the train, and you find him, and you make sure that he never hurts anyone again. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to everyone. What do you say? Gower couldn't speak. She nodded. A second time, the tears were flowing faster. Rex backed away. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Gower Davis. She's a lovely lady, and she deserves a big round of applause. Subscribe to my channel. I can click on my screen with one. Thank you. Help unlock the jump button. Thank you.